Boss said I got to work 12 hours on the railroad today.
Boss said got to work today. What's up? What have you been up to?
I'm also working.
Yeah. I got new shorts today.
What kind of shorts? Those Lulu's?
Nike.
Those look nice.
I like them. I wanted some off-white ones because I feel like I've added a lot of black shirts recently, and like I have a lot of black shorts. I'm like, I feel like I could use some lighter color shorts.
Yeah.
They're a little shorter. I'm living my Will phase right now. A little bit of it's Hoochie Daddy season, so
You become who you hang out with, right? Yeah.
Will and I are deep into Hoochie Daddy season.
What's that mean?
Got my Hoochie Daddy shorts on. Show the legs off a little bit.
Those that's what the kids start switching to. They don't buy bird dogs or chubbies anymore. They're buying Hoochie Daddies.
They would.
Someone's going to make this company now. Hoochie Daddies.
Yeah, you haven't heard that? It's Hoochie Daddy season. We hear people started saying it a couple of years ago when it was like, it's hot girl summer.
Oh, yeah.
Guys would be like, it's Hoochie Daddy.
So this year it's Hoochie Daddy season, huh?
That's right.
That's the first I'm hearing about it.
Yeah, Laurel's not going to be happy I've been saying this.
Well, she got a problem with Hoochie Daddy for it.
Yeah, the only person you give me a Hoochie Daddy for is me, Tommy Jerry.
That's exactly what she sounds like.
Oh, yeah. It was uncanny. I was like looking for Laurel.
Where is she?
I'm right here, Kevin.
I'm just kidding.
What is a Hoochie Daddy?
You know what Hoochie Daddy is?
Not particularly.
You never heard of a Hoochie? It's like you say like Ryan, chime in on this.
I'm looking up the Urban Dictionary right now for him.
Well, read it to the people.
Give me 1 second. Still working on getting it pulled up.
Cool. Yeah, Hoochie Daddy. Like a Hoochie's like it's like somebody who dresses kind of skimpy.
Oh.
Yes, Hoochie Daddy.
All right.
Hoochie Daddy season.
Dude, I bet our sales in UConn go. You and Will participating in Hoochie Daddy season. I bet our sales go up. I bet
the only people who appreciate the Hoochie Daddy is other Hoochie Daddies.
Really? Mm-hmm. I feel like there'd be some single mothers out there that appreciate it.
No. I don't know. I'm a taken man.
That's true. Good point.
Right?
Maybe they appreciate Will.
Here is the Urban Dictionary definition for Hoochie Daddy.
Yeah.
A man-ho.
Ooh.
Or a drunken addict male who sleeps around with many different women.
Oof.
So
Often.
you're either a man-ho or a man-ho that's drunk.
Well, pour me a drink. That's right. That old, little, what do we got? Elijah Craig Toasted Barrel. I like it.
This is a Christmas present from Corey Vitale.
A male server at Pineapple Willie's.
Yeah. I got a part-time job, Kevin. I forgot to tell you.
What's Pineapple Willie's?
I think it's like Guy Hooters. I'm guessing. Using my context clues.
And they've got they serve pineapples?
I don't know. Pineapple. They got either pineapples or Willie's.
Maybe both.
Whoa.
Sorry about that.
Now pour me old scooch of the hooch.
I'll pour it. You entertain the folks at home, will you, Thomas?
I will. What's up, guys? Smell nice? Ooh, a shuckle of the cock. Does smell good. Bloop. Nice. It's been good. It's been a good couple days, though. Weather's warming up and getting outside and enjoying that. When we do jiu-jitsu, we don't have air conditioning at the gym, which is like, I'm a fan of it sometimes, and I'm really not a fan of it other times. You know how that goes? Thank you. It's nice. You get a good sweat. Got a good sweat this morning at jiu-jitsu, so it's solid.
Dude, I feel like I've learned to appreciate a workout where you don't have AC. Like Trinity's the go-to for me for that kind of workout. I'm usually there on Mondays. I usually hit Trinity before I come to the podcast on Mondays.
Oh, nice.
And this was happening when I was working out in our garage just a few years ago. And it's like that first one where it's like in the 90s and you work out legs and you are just like drenched in sweat as much as like you were like almost like you just stepped out of a pool.
Oh yeah,
in sweat.
Yep.
And the first one always sucks. Like the first one of the year always sucks, but the second one's kind of nice. Like I feel like it's kind of therapeutic. Like I feel like it has like some like sauna effects to it.
No, I agree. I like it a lot at jiu-jitsu. It's tough sometimes, like especially on gi nights. And for people who don't know much about jiu-jitsu, is like you're wearing a carpet, and that's already hot just in general to wear. And so like then it's really hot and everybody's sweating, and then you start sweating and it starts getting heavier and heavier. And yeah.
Yeah, that would be tough. Are gis pretty hot?
Yes.
You said it's like wearing a carpet?
Even the nice ones are hot. Like it's just part of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but no, it's good. I like it. I'm with you. I like it at the beginning, and then I'll get over it after a while. But for a while, it's right. I agree. It's pretty therapeutic. I like it quite a bit.
Yeah. It's it kind of fits the Trinity vibe too. It's kind of a garage style gym, old school clanging banging. Really
banging.
big strong people in there, and
I love Trinity.
Yeah, really cool old school equipment. Like a lot of, it's a really fun gym to hit anytime. But yeah, when it gets warm and get the garage doors open, I feel like some people are like, man, it was just nice a couple weeks ago. But I'm like, man, there's something about it being just like brutally hot in here that is kind of nice, man.
Yeah, I feel like you're doing it the right amount though. Like doing it where like you're going not every day. That's probably part of it.
Yeah. That probably, if I was working out there every day, I might complain about it a little bit more, but yeah, it's a good point. Yeah.
What about you? Doing any hoochie daddying?
I'm a 7-inch inseam kind of guy.
Nice.
I like how you like cringe at that. Like that's like more embarrassing than calling myself a hoochie daddy.
No. That's, I just didn't know where you were going with that. Congratulations. But anyway,
that just sounds like too much.
Yeah, I am. Yeah, right. Ryan turned his microphone on.
You have had some fun trying to find some shorts recently, though, right?
Oh my gosh.
What's wrong? What happened to the Academy special?
The Academy special?
Not so special anymore.
Ooh.
I think I got it. I think I got it figured out. Dude, I went through like 5 orders of Academy shorts. I think they like switched up their sizing a little bit, but I got some go-to shorts, or the BCG shorts. I think they used to be like $15 or $20 now, so still not bad. Awesome shorts. But like they're running shorts and they have pockets, which doesn't always exist. They got a liner in them. You cut that bad boy out.
Yeah, I don't like liners in my shorts.
But they just fit nice. Like they're the perfect length. They're not too short, not too long. They're just what I like. They're nice and loose too. Yeah. They're not like tight around my legs. Like if I could do the splits, I could do the full splits. Yeah. In those shorts.
Important, just in case you decide to learn.
Exactly. You always want to be ready.
That's right. Rather, have it not need it than need it not have it,
If I learned anything in the Boy Scouts.
That's right.
But
we're not even that tired this time.
I'm a little worn out myself, man.
I'm doing pretty good.
I'm not going on a stretch of like a couple of crazy days, but I've been going at it for a couple of weeks now, man. Yeah. I don't know. I think like I get to a point, like even earlier today, man, I was like, oh man, okay. Like it's noon. I got to eat a meal. I don't have anything else to do before I head to Norman. Cause I'm sitting at Quail, grabbing, dropping stuff off, picking stuff up. I'm supposed to head to Norman around 12:30. It's about noon. It's like, okay, eat a meal.
Yeah.
And then go. I'm good. 2 hours later, I'm still sitting at Quail answering messages and stuff coming my way. So
yeah,
just been a lot of that.
Yeah, no, I get it. And we're also doing back-to-back weeks. We haven't done that.
Yeah.
So this one, we're actually filming this one a week early. It's going to release a normal time though. It'll release a week and a half from now, I imagine, won't it?
I was going to ask y'all. I don't care.
I think we should. I think keeping it like the same release time, like every 2 weeks.
I think it'd be fine.
Yeah, I think so.
I mean, what if we say like have some political commentary that isn't up to date?
Ooh, yeah. We got to South Park it where it's like you're creating the episode the night before it releases,
right?
Because you got to be up to date,
right? Yeah.
Well, we'll have to hold the political talk to another time.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys. I know that's what you typically tune in for. So we'll have to hold that for another day.
Tune in
But yeah,
next time for the unsuccessful politician.
Yeah. But we're doing that because I'm going out of town. I'm going on a little vacation, which I'm very excited about. And so actually when this releases, I will be there. I'll be gone.
Yeah.
I will be
Looking forward to what's a vacation? Tell.
We are going on a cruise to Alaska. So that's pretty cool.
That's super dope.
Yeah. I was never thought I would do that. Not because I didn't want to, but it's just, I don't know. But it's Laurel's, my girlfriend's parents, dad specifically, but both of them just retired. They owned pawn shops and they sold their businesses and are taking a celebratory retirement cruise and invited Laurel and I along. And we said yes immediately.
Yeah.
And so... And then, gosh, it didn't seem that long ago that it was like 100 days away. You know, there's like you can log on there and you can see how far away it is. But now it's like we leave next Wednesday night.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we leave a week from Wednesday, essentially. And so, that's going to be, super excited. We sail out of Seattle. We've got a full day in Seattle to hang out. Never been to Seattle, so pretty excited about that. And then, then we cruising.
Seattle's super cool. It's my dad really likes Seattle a lot. So we took a couple of trips there as kids.
Nice.
Man, especially with it getting to be like, we're seeing these 90-degree days here in Oklahoma, dude. That weather up there is going to be beautiful.
Yeah, I think it's going to be really nice to kind of have just like a little bit of a change of pace with everything.
Mm-hmm.
We think even in Alaska, it's going to be like 50s, 60s. So it's going to be pretty cool.
Yeah,
looks like it might rain, but man, what can you do?
So it's Hoochie Daddy season.
It's Hoochie Daddy season. That's right. Alaskan Hoochie Daddy.
You gonna be Hoochie Daddying on this cruise?
What else do you do on a cruise?
Good point.
You know what I'm saying?
You ain't really living if you're not.
That is correct. That is correct. Yeah, super excited though. Lots of cool stuff. We are one of the coolest things that we're doing an excursion that apparently checks a lot of Laurel's like a bucket list things to do, and so we are. We're getting off the boat at one point. We are then hopping in a helicopter, and then we are flying. It's like a tour around the mountains in Alaska, and then we land. We do like dog sledding. It's like this dog sled park thing that we stop at, or like where they train, the dogs, and then we go out and actually dog sled for a while. Then we come back. We get back on the helicopter. Then we land on a glacier, and then we like walk around a glacier for a while. It's pretty crazy, man. I'm pretty excited about it. That's going to be. I mean, like, I don't know how often do you get to do that kind of stuff. I mean, I ride in helicopters all the time, but the Triad official.
Dude, that is actually one long-term goal I've been talking about a lot recently. Is I would eventually like to get my pilot's license. That
I heard you talk about that.
Man, by buying it I feel like you always just like think about planes as just like this crazy, you have to go through, all this training and like buy this expensive piece of thing. It's like, no, you can, like an average Joe can get their pilot's license.
Yeah,
like
I know multiple people with their pilot's license.
Yeah. And man, I think you can. I don't quote me on this, but I think you can get like a nice little plane for like $30,000 and like do payments on it like you would like a nice car.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, there's little airports around everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what that really looks like to be able to like use these different airports and the hangars and whatnot. I'm sure they've got at least somewhat accessibility to them, but that idea, like I remember talking to Trey Cooper about that years ago, about how it's like not actually like, it's actually like super feasible to get your pilot's license and buy a plane,
right?
And how much quicker you can get places. Like if it takes you, 5 hours to drive there, it's like a little over an hour. Fly your plane.
Yeah, right. Well, and that's the thing is you'll see people, like you just, hey, we need to go do this. And all right, whatever. Like, let's go.
Yeah.
We'll be on the runway in an hour and a half. Like,
so right now I'm trying to convince my dad to get his pilot's license because he's retired and has a lot more time and honestly more money than I do. That's for sure. But so my parents are still in St. Louis. Have I talked about this on the podcast?
The plane? Like wanting to get your pilot's license?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Anyway, parents are in St. Louis. My family has some property a little north of St. Louis, like an hour and a half. It's like a probably 7.5, 8 hour drive to get to that property. It's been in my family for a while. My grandpa bought it when my dad was a kid, and it's mostly hunting land. It's about 60% timber, 40% just open land. It's got a lake on it for fishing. There's good deer hunting, good turkey hunting. Dove seasons have been pretty good. But it's something that I grew up being able to like go out there on the weekends and went hunting, and there's a cabin on it, and it's a lot further away now that I don't live in St. Louis. And I've always thought about trying to like, make it a goal to like have some land somewhere here in Oklahoma eventually. That would be way in the future, but it's like, man, it just wouldn't quite be the same. That land in Missouri is just really cool. And obviously
it's got some sentimental value too.
For sure. But the idea of getting a plane and a pilot's license came about because there's an airport that is like just a few miles away from the property.
Oh yeah, that's super cool.
So my dad is retired, and he's up at that property probably more than he is at home.
Yeah, I remember days. Last time you were talking about that.
But my parents. So my dad's retired, and my mom has talked about retiring. She's at the spot where she could retire, but still enjoys her work. But news that we probably haven't talked about on the podcast. Alyssa's pregnant.
Whoa. With a baby?
We haven't told you.
Oof.
Yep.
Whoa. Should we be drinking? Oh, we can. Okay, we're fine.
But obviously my sister and her fiance Corey live here. And we're slowly creating more and more reasons for especially my mom to want to be here in Oklahoma.
But how do you convince your dad?
Right. Because the one thing keeping him there is the property.
The thing he loves most.
Well, that and St. Louis City soccer team now.
Yeah,
so.
That's right. Hey, I get it.
But you get to spend a little time, get your pilot's license, buy a little plane.
Yeah.
Keep a vehicle up there.
That's right.
In the hangar, and just fly up there whenever you want. We got an airport that's like even closer. It's like 2 miles away from our house.
Yeah, right.
So I'm slowly trying to convince my dad of doing that. So that if he does it, then I don't have to get my pilot's license.
Easy enough. You just fly us around.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, but for real though, that is a cool thing because it gives you like a different level of accessibility, you know, like where you can just, you need to go up there and do something wherever you need to go. Like you can just, becomes a whole lot quicker of a trip. You know what I mean? Or we can kind of like, hey, Kev, you want to spend the weekend down here?
Right.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, you can get places all over the country a lot faster than you could just driving around.
Yeah, for real though.
Going to an airport. Yeah, it's not like I think everybody thinks like, oh, you either fly in a plane or you have to have the money for a private jet. It's like, no, you can just get a little plane.
Yeah, there's plenty of in between.
Right.
Well, and the other thing too is it's like to become like a commercial airline pilot, like you have to, I think they just changed it, but I think you only have to have like 200 hours of fly time.
Really?
It's not that much. It used to be 400 and I think they recently dropped it, but it was like 400 hours was like pretty unrealistic, I think, for them to actually be able to hire people. Like it was all just like ex-military that just fly all the time.
Yeah.
And then I'm 90% talking out of my ass here, but like through talking to people and what I understand a little bit about it. But I know that they just recently dropped, like certain airlines have dropped it to, but it's only like 200 hours. It's really not that crazy.
That is, man. Well,
everybody feels super safe in your planes.
Yeah, if you ever want to if you ever want to become a commercial airline pilot on the side.
Hey, a lot of we have a number of customers who are pilots, whether commercial airline pilots or just like have their pilot's license, but like we have a couple that are like legitimate commercial airline pilots.
That would be a wild life.
Yeah,
I know quite a few people I ride bikes with. They're able to fly. Like one of the friends in Fort Smith, he'll just go up with his fiance or maybe wife now, I'm not quite sure.
Yeah.
And they'll just fly around for the evening and
just for fun.
Yeah.
I do feel like
I think that's partly for him to, I think, get hours and stuff like that. Cause I don't know what his goals are, but,
yeah.
But then I know like one of the close friends I ride with, he has his pilots and he's about to get married, and their contingency is he gets a plane and she gets a pool.
Nice.
And so, but he'll just fly to, I forget the exact city in Oklahoma, but I guess they have like one of the best Mexican restaurants at their airport. And so for a date, they'll do the 45-minute flight to the airport.
Yeah.
Go get the Mexican restaurant, then fly home.
That's funny.
See, this seems
It's like a 3-hour drive that becomes a 45-minute flight.
Right.
It seems like something that would be extravagant, but if you have your own plane, it's just like it's like driving 45 minutes to a restaurant.
Well, and I know, like, and I think a big part of it too is like I think you can rent a plane too, and I don't think it's like anything that's like that crazy.
Yeah.
Because like, how else do you get your hours? You know, without owning a plane. Like,
Right.
I think you can rent them, and I don't think it's that like big of a deal.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, you would have to do that with an instructor too, right?
Yeah.
Those hours. Yeah.
Yeah. So
I've heard that's one of the more pricey parts of it is like hiring the instructor for that time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think you have to have 200 hours under an instructor though.
I
think
did
you
look
have to
that
get
part
your
up.
light.
It's $250.
Oh,
and
$250.
50 for at least commercial pilots. This was, I think, rough. I think it wasn't like a set standard.
Yeah, sure.
$250 and about 50 of cross country flying.
Oh wow. Yeah. Okay.
But like, do you know what the difference would be for if like you weren't commercial? Like, well, how many hours is that to like just have like
Just your license?
just your license?
I think it's quite a bit less than that.
I would assume.
I think it's quite a bit.
Yeah.
Like how to just get your actual license.
200 is a lot of hours.
That is a lot of hours.
Yeah.
Like a fly time for sure.
How many days is that?
Just do it in one stretch. Is that what you're trying to do?
I want to knock it out as soon as
200
possible.
straight hours.
Yeah, you could do it in just over a week. That's like 8.5 days.
If you just stayed up there the whole time.
Yep.
Regulations require about 40 hours of flight time, a minimum, if you're not hearing impaired. But you can typically get your private pilot, it looks like, in approximately about 75 hours.
About 75 hours.
Yeah.
That's
40
like-
hours of flight time and 35 of, I guess, flight time and other stuff.
Like if you really dedicated some time to it,
Yeah.
you do that in a month.
Right. That's I'm saying,
crazy.
dude. Yeah.
Well,
Tempting, man.
yeah, right. What does it cost though, Ryan? You got details on costs?
I'll look into it.
Nice, appreciate you. Yeah, but I think stuff like that's super cool, man. I think getting your ability to get places and do kind of stuff is totally different at that point. And I think it's like, especially if you have like realistic things too, where it's like you fly to St. Louis or something like that. Like
Right.
it's not anything like overly too crazy. But yeah, I mean, like we can be like, hey, you want to go spend a weekend in the mountains? Like, yeah, let's do it.
Well, that's what I'm saying too. Is where. Like how many times right now could you think, oh, I would rather fly there than drive there?
Yeah.
But you would probably
To
end up
work
going more.
every day. Come pick me up on your way.
Screw that 15, 20 minute drive.
23 and a half minutes. Kevin.
23. I'm sorry. I thought you lived oh no, you're living with them from your technical house
I've got a couple houses.
and no planes.
No planes. A couple houses though.
So there's like different levels to it, obviously.
Sure.
Student pilot is free.
I'm a student.
Student pilot license. A sport pilot license, you're looking about $4,000 to $6,000, and your private pilot is about $8,300 to $12,300.
That's not that crazy though. Like
Commercial
that's
pilot, you're looking $28,000 to $90,000.
yeah. It's a
Yeah.
lot of money, but like I think that's also part of why a lot of the guys who are the commercial or ex-military and stuff like that,
Yeah.
like it just makes sense.
They probably didn't have to spend that money because they were doing it.
No,
already
yeah, I mean
for
they
the-
get paid to do it.
Right,
You know what I
right,
mean?
right.
But yeah, that's I mean, but again, that's not an unrealistic amount of money. Like of course you have to be like there is a barrier to entry there for sure, but it's like it's not something that's you don't have to be a millionaire to be a pilot by any means. That's interesting.
Yeah. I got it on my radar, man. Speaking of barriers to entry, there's been one thing that I'm starting to kind of get more familiar with. We can throw a little business talk in here, right? But the like starting out, obviously, it's the lower the barrier to entry is, the better. It is, when we're first starting out. But once you kind of been in the game for a little bit, we've been able to do some things that a store like we have relationships with stores in other areas that are by no means direct competition because they're in other cities. So we get to, it's kind of a cool thing, man. You get to kind of have a relationship with someone
Yeah, there's some camaraderie there, especially when that's not somebody you're
Right.
directly involved with.
It's, some of the only people that are doing the exact same thing you are.
Right.
But you're not competition. So it's kind of this beautiful thing. But the one of the cool things I think we've kind of really gotten to is our purchasing power. Like just the ability to purchase, like meet certain order quantities on certain things where other people
that we
just
couldn't
don't
have dreamed of before.
Right, exactly. Like I think it's changed since, but Sebum Energy I think was a good example.
Yeah.
Where initially you had to order it directly before they had any distribution.
Right.
And if you ordered directly, you were having to order a pallet of each flavor, which is that's an investment right there.
Sure.
Like you got to have the money to be able to do it, and you got to have the customers to be able to go through it.
Yeah,
and
you got to have the space to put it.
And you got to have the space to put it. We ordered those right when we got access to the warehouse.
Yeah.
We may not have done it otherwise because
it's one of the first things, or was it? I think it was one of the first things.
Pre-Plus was the first thing because I was in that episode. We were real sleepy here in the warehouse.
Yeah, right.
And I think Bum Energy was the second thing.
Yeah,
yeah,
that's funny.
Because otherwise, it would have showed up on the sidewalk at Quail Springs, and they would have had to unload every case by hand.
Yeah, right. Oh.
And figure out where to put it back
done
there.
that. No thanks.
Yeah.
I'm good. Yeah. But for real though, I mean, it makes a huge difference for us because we've had a lot of people, especially having like the gyms back here that we have the relationship with, like that, there's 2 gyms in the strip that the warehouse is in. And obviously we're right behind the Yukon store, but we've had multiple people from those places come and be in and kind of like, oh, what's going on back here? Like I saw you guys have like a sign for back there. What is that? And it was like, oh, well, let's get a warehouse for us. And people thought that we were going to like sell stuff out of the warehouse. I'm like, no, it's not like that. It's like, it's just literally a place for us to house stuff and like have some offices if we need them, but like literally house things so that we can order bigger quantities. We have places to put stuff. Kind of talked a little bit, not too much, but a little bit about just like having storage units and being able to like bring that all together consolidate that down into one, warehouse now that we're literally filling up.
Yeah. We
you said how many pallets of stuff is coming?
We've got
and what were they specifically? By name and flavor? Just kidding.
And price.
Yeah.
We've talked about before that we have an order that consists of roughly 13 pallets that is probably going to be finished up soon. We've got a couple other orders out there that'll probably be a pallet or 2 each. And we just ordered today a total of probably 16 pallets.
Additional pallets
on top of all that.
There you go.
Yeah, but I hope I'm not getting ahead of myself. But and this could change either way. But we're starting to kind of notice some prices of some ingredients start to come back down.
Yeah.
So
always love to see that though.
Yeah.
Like temporary or permanent, like
right.
That's a good sign at least, especially, I mean, everybody listening to this obviously has had to deal with the price increases and what that's been like. And it's been obviously stressful and tough for us, but even as a consumer and the person buying it on the, the last step, like it's stressful and tough for them too.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Having to adjust your budget to, if you're buying something regularly, like your protein, your multivitamin, you're having to adjust your personal budget to be able to afford stuff that is now more expensive.
Right. Yeah.
But man, we've had a lot of people stick with us and be okay with it and be understanding. It's one of those things that obviously more than just our industry was affected through all of this. A lot of price increases, but we want to be able to give ourselves the best possible chance of being able to get prices back down to normal. I think we could. We'll definitely have. There's a lot of factors that play into this, so I obviously can't promise anything. But man, if we don't order it, we're guaranteed that if we don't place some of these orders, we're guaranteed that we won't be able to lower prices.
Yeah.
But if we order some stuff now and kind of work the way that we're working, we at least give ourselves the opportunity to be
watch the trends and then hope something makes sense.
Man, I would really love to be, if it is possible, I would love to be the industry leader in bringing prices back down. I heard a lot of people when prices started to go up that talk about how oh, when prices go up, they never come back down.
Yeah.
Why would people start selling stuff cheaper?
Yeah.
I think I don't ever know that I bought into that. I don't think I ever believed that. I think that if someone has a possibility to sell something a little bit cheaper, then why would you not just undercut just a little bit just to sell more than your competitor?
Yeah, if that's how, and just, it's one of those things where just because people have been willing to pay for something at a certain price, it's like, that was brought out of necessity at times. And it's like, if that's the case, then I think there's an equal argument to go the other way if you can.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree, man. And I think it would be really cool to be, man, it all depends on, because obviously we have certain inventory that we're going through and a number of things that we're reordering and different prices for all of it. But man, I think it'd be really cool to be able to start dropping some prices on some stuff if we could, man.
We've already seen some of it. You know what I mean? Like we saw the price of creatine go down, especially when it came to First Form creatine dropped, which was
dropped in store. Yeah, not just their end, on our end.
Yeah, which is great. Yeah, we were able to drop that.
Yeah, because
we were able to drop First Form creatine down by I think $8 and $7. Like it's quite a pretty substantial.
Right.
When you're talking like a 25% decrease in cost or 20% decrease in cost, that's pretty cool. So
it is kind of crazy how everybody genuinely does adjust to higher prices, man. Like you wouldn't think, when we were at a point where we were selling 100 servings of First Form creatine for what was it? $16?
Yeah.
And there was a couple steps to this, but that 100 serving tub, the same 100 serving tub got up to $40.
Mm-hmm.
That's a substantial increase from $16 to $40.
Yeah, it's massive.
Right. I mean, luckily you're still getting 100 servings of it. So it generally is
can still make it make sense.
Right. But that is a big difference. And people did adjust, man. It would be, so it kind of creates somewhat of a cool opportunity where some people definitely could take advantage and say, man, people adjusted. Why not keep it here and make a bigger margin?
Right.
I say, why not be the coolest ones in the industry and drop prices when nobody's expecting it?
Yeah, right. Like, why not just do that? And I think it just continues to go along with kind of how we stand for everything. Like, we sell everything already at minimum advertised price, and we do all these things to try to get fair deals to our customers. And we've earned their trust by doing things right, and so just keeping doing that. You know what I mean? And I think this is another example of doing that in a way that we, any way that we can.
Right. But yeah, that's most of what I've been up to today is just kind of keeping up with that. I'm actually at a point where I'm actually probably not doing anything. I'm just kind of overseeing Preston handle all this.
Nice.
Which has been really cool. He's been going back and forth with Bruce on several products and a handful of different things today. And, I'm kind of giving him guidance on what to do and double checking things for him. But man, it's kind of been a generally hectic day for me too. So I gave him a rundown on everything we need to check for, and I have him kind of double checking things too. So
yeah, it's super cool. Sorry. Oh, dude, I'm sleepy.
Sleepy boy.
Sleepy boy. We could be sleepy boys. But it is also just genuinely cool to see other people continue to take on new roles and new things when it comes to this kind of stuff. It's cool to see Preston kind of, even more so than before, kind of step into this role with Define, where he's not just somebody who deals with formulations, but he also deals with the manufacturing side of things and, all of that is
starting to get involved with labels now.
Right. Well, it's crazy, isn't it?
Right. Dude, it's
you take labels away from you, you'll just be a delivery boy.
Yeah, maybe we don't give labels.
Yeah, you gotta have something to do.
No, man, I think dude, with the warehouse. So I talked about this in meeting on Friday, and I've been talking about it with you a lot, is that when we first got here, it was so exciting, but I almost kind of felt guilty about it because we weren't able to enjoy it with everybody on the team.
Yeah, right.
Where everybody on the team used to be kind of in the same position of, man, you're hanging out at the store, whether that's in front or working in the back, and everybody's grinding away. And now we get this, this cool warehouse that is genuinely our HQ.
Right.
And there's a few of us that are here on a somewhat regular basis. Typically, if I'm up here, Ryan and Alyssa are here working, which makes sense. Alyssa deals with all the inventory and all the distribution here. Ryan doing his social media has a little bit more space, a little bit. It seems like he's been able to be more productive up here.
Yeah, just the home base is nice.
Right. Little less distractions, a little less going on.
And he can run over, shoot videos with that. I mean, did that today. He ran over and shot 4 different videos with us today.
Underrated part of having the store or having the warehouse right behind the store too is having access to the store.
Yeah.
If we need things.
Yeah, just
the
quick
POS is for social media. We talked about having, being able to have people from the store go to the warehouse, but I didn't even think about being able to have, if people are at the warehouse, go to the store for things that they would not be able to access here.
Yeah, right. No, I feel like I see Ryan all the time over there. Yeah. Like dropping something off, doing something, shooting a video.
Yeah.
Bringing some. Wait, when does this release?
You said a week and a half?
A week and a half.
So not this Thursday, but the next Thursday?
So then new stuff will be released by then.
Pump V2?
Yeah, Pump will be released by then because this will come out on the 18th.
Yeah, so he's running back and forth with a tub of orange sherbet. I can say that out loud now. Super dope flavor. Super pumped about that. Orange sherbet. Super pumped.
You tasted both when we got them both in. Have you tried it before workout yet?
No, I haven't had a chance to.
No, you're not hitting bodybuilding workouts like.
Yeah, not all the time. I did the other day though, man. I hit a what was it? Would have been Friday. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think Friday or Saturday. No, Saturday. I hit like a legit bodybuilding workout for one of the first times in a while, and it was a good time. Still a little sore.
What muscle group you do?
A little bit of everything, just because I'm not always in like the gym as much anymore. So,
but more resistance training, more like
definitely
that rep range kind of.
Yeah, well, and just that kind of style. I was like just kind of pushing through, doing some different stuff, just some like real muscle exhaustion stuff, which was fun. It's always a good time, but
feels good when you haven't done it in a while.
It definitely does, man. Yeah. And so I hit a little bit of arms, a little bit of shoulders, a little bit of chest, and then some mobility stuff on my hips, some muscle activation stuff on my hips more than anything. But hit chest the hardest. That was the main thing that I was doing, mostly just getting some blood flow. Yeah. Knew it was a little bit of a shoulder issue. So like worked my chest pretty hard, but then my shoulders was just some blood flow stuff, and then just like quick
just
bump on the
moving
arms.
around.
But dude, it was fun, man. I've been doing some different stuff with when I do go work out and do that kind of stuff, just pushing myself a little bit on the bodybuilding side of things. But I've been doing this movement that I like quite a bit, where it's I know there's a name for it. I don't know what it is. Will could tell me. You might be able to tell me too. But it's I almost do like a drop set or like an exhaustion set, but then I let myself rest for a little bit and then get back to it. But it's always actively moving the same body part. So I'll start with like a cable flies. And so I'll be hitting cable flies, and I'll hit like a rep range typically between like 8 to 12 on it. Just wherever I get to in that, where I'm like, okay, that's about as much of a squeeze as I can get. But then I will like adjust my elbows from the same cable fly and just essentially do like, because I don't go heavy at all. Like, you don't need it. It's like 17 and a half pounds on each like stack. And I'll do 10 essentially like push presses, but like I guess like bench press, but it's almost like a push-up feel.
Yeah.
But you're still just standing like, so flies straight into like 10, and it just works my lactic acid out of my chest just a little bit and allows it to rest. I'll do 10 of those and then straight back into 10 like strict negative flies, and then 10 again, and then I just go as long as I can, and I just do 3 sets of that. And so it's like you burn yourself out, but then you let a little lactic acid out and you move a little bit of blood again, and then you straight back into it, and then you let a little lactic acid out, like get a little blood flow, a little rest, and then back into it again.
So it's not a full, like your second movement isn't a full, like you're not a full movement, like you're not exhausting like you are in those flies.
Right. It's almost my rest, but it's like an active rest into doing it.
Yeah.
But I never drop the handles like for the whole thing. And so
if that has a specific name, I don't know what it is other than
Will talked about something similar to it the other day that he was doing. And it's like, you just kind of like, it's almost like letting somebody help you to like get to failure, but it's like you're just doing something slightly different where I'm going from those like real strict negative like flies into just like some real super light, like, 17 pounds on essentially a cable bench press, like is nothing, but it like moves it. You're still feeling the blood flow and it kind of allows you to recuperate just enough to like get going again. And then another 8 to 12 and then 10. And then I usually get to about 6 or 7 and then I'm like done.
Yeah.
And so it's a pretty cool movement though. I like it quite a bit. I do that a lot. And it just like, when I don't have a ton of time, like it's something that just like torques my chest like pretty quick for sure.
Yeah, there's some good ones, man. Some of the best ones are like happen very quick. Like are like you're not doing a whole lot of rest. There's not a whole lot of warm up, whole lot of rest. It's like you just get it done.
Well, I like to do it at the beginning of my chest workout too. Like I'll do some light like warm up stuff, but then I'll go straight into that. And why I like it is it's a ton of muscle activation in my chest in multiple ways. Plus it's never anything too heavy. So because of that, it's 17 and a half pounds in each hand. Like it's nothing crazy, but it's enough that I can get like a crazy good squeeze on it.
More of a concentration than you are actually like going till failure.
Right. Well, and then I go to failure with it though.
Okay.
But it's like, but the thing that's cool about it is mind muscle connection is huge for my chest for it. So the rest of my chest day, my chest activation is great. So it's like if I go straight into a bench press or I go even into like a plate loaded like incline press or whatever, like my muscle activation to my chest is like top notch and I don't activate my shoulders too much. Like I can hit it pretty good. Like my mind muscle connection, like I said, to my actual chest it's like peak at that point. So it's pretty cool. I like it.
It is funny how certain movements, like you'll feel better activation after you do certain movements.
Yeah, for sure. Well, that's where I like can struggle at times with certain things. I think everybody can, but it's just like activating the exact muscle group that I'm trying to activate in the way that I want to activate it.
Right.
And it's like, that's just the one that like really pushes a lot of blood in there and like really gets me going on it. And then I'm like, I seem to, the rest of my chest movements seem to benefit from it.
Yeah.
Well,
rewinding a little bit, just because I wanted to kind of make a point in the warehouse. Don't mind talking about bodybuilding at all, but releasing Pump V2. We've posted
released?
We'll be released.
What, the day this comes out?
No, the Thursday before. If this were releasing this Thursday, it will be. Pump V2 is releasing this Thursday. Podcast will release the Thursday after. So, but at the warehouse,
talking in the future.
Ooh, man, I think having that kind of in mind and like a new motivation for me is to. It always has been, but there's a little extra motivation now to create opportunities for people to get promoted and move up through the company and build a career and start doing the stuff they really want to do. Where you gotta take the customers, you gotta work base level and work your way up, and it is genuinely a really fun time.
Yeah.
And man, I took a couple of different customers today. I think I just took a couple over at UConn before I walked over here. But man, it's so there's that extra motivation. So I'm starting to kind of think about like, okay, what's everybody's next step? Like, like what do we, what does their future look like? And it's really made me hyper aware of what can be passed along and all the responsibilities that I have that are capable. They're possible for one person to do, 5 different things right now. It's like, man, all 5 things right now are going to grow to be a full-time or at least a part-time role very quickly.
Yeah, right.
Like I know I've talked about doing transfers, like delivering orders could be paired easily. I know you've talked about being able to put someone in a position like you where you could visit multiple stores. Man, we've obviously talked about Preston a lot, like how much work has had to go into working with Bruce and new product development and just reordering our regular products, label designs. Man, we've got with everything going on with Define, we've got more potential with wholesale. So if you're a retailer out there listening, I doubt it, but hey, if you're a retailer listening, we do wholesale with Define, and we've got a great structure to it all. It's always been a great structure and prepared to do wholesale. We've just never had the capacity to take that on as a project, but Ian here is taking a project. We've talked about him before.
Well, that's a lot of where the relationships that we were just talking about of like people doing the same thing, but they're not our direct competitor. A lot of those come from like the wholesale aspect of things now, I feel like.
Right. Man, we've got, we're going to have probably before too long where Ryan needs help on the media side of things. Probably from more than one person, man. I think that's going to be an area that grows like crazy.
Ryan's like, I can't wait till I don't have to film this damn podcast anymore.
Who you putting in charge of the podcast, Ryan?
I enjoy listening to the podcast.
Oh.
So like being here is not the problem. It's the editing that I'm like, I could pass off.
You'll film and then have somebody else edit it.
You don't like listening to it twice?
Not technically. Not necessarily.
Yeah. I get it. I don't either.
If you can't, you obviously probably can't tell from the camera view, but Ryan's here listening to the podcast, watching the Oilers game right now. It's tied 1-1. Golden Knights, Oilers.
Golden Knights goalie just went down.
Really?
Yeah. It was a little sketchy. I don't know exactly what happened. I'm trying to find out.
Seemed
But
like a muscle issue. Yeah, nobody hit him. Like it was like
had a really nice save and instant pain.
Yeah, near post, like save, kick save, like then had to cover back post, and it might have been that stretch. But he hit the deck.
Hopefully just a Charlie horse, but might not
I
be.
don't know. It looked more like a torn groin kind of situation. He didn't look happy about it. Oh. Sorry, we talked about it, Ryan.
Yeah, all right, we'll stop.
Yeah, it's 2-1 now, Golden Knights.
Sorry, guys.
Unless you're a big Golden Knights fan out there.
If you are, you deserve to lose.
Who's even a Gold? I think they pay these people to be in the stands. There's no one that's actually a Golden Knights fan.
Since you said that, in the last game, it was in Vegas, and within the third period, there's tons of pictures surfacing of like half the stadium gone. Ooh. And it's like, are there really any fans in Vegas?
Yeah.
It's just people passing through and stuff. They're like, I'll go see a game.
Yeah.
Super interesting. One of the things that was talked about with the Raider Stadium in Vegas is that and I might be wrong in this, but it's like more so than any other, or like even the majority of the seats are box seats. Like it's not like just open seats to the public. Like the big majority, or like maybe I shouldn't say majority, but like a large amount compared to most NFL stadiums is set up just for like box seats for tickets.
A lot of stadiums have started to transition to maybe not majority, but like more box seats than regular seats than they have had in the past. Like because old stadiums used to be like primarily seats and then like some boxes. Yeah. Where now it's like there's more boxes than there used to be, right?
Yeah, for sure. Well, that's where like you make a lot of your money is off of those. And so, fun fact, I wrote a paper on this in college because I was in my sports and entertainment economics class, and we talked about it. And it's crazy. You have to think about how much revenue these teams bring to a city. And so people have their own opinion on it, and I get that, but it's like, when they start talking about stadiums and new stadiums and whatever, and it's like the team does not pay for any of that ever, because like there's no reason to. The city will pay for it because the city sees the real benefit.
Yeah, I mean that's partly the problem that like Arizona's having. The team doesn't want to pay for it; they want the city to pay for it, and the city doesn't want to pay for it right now. But like Calgary, they're getting a brand new stadium or arena technically.
They've got a big fan base though, don't they?
They do. Yeah. And so I think it's like partly the management group, but a majority of it's like the city and like the city's urban district that's wanting to pay for it to bring them closer to like the main part of the city.
Well, and that was like a big reason why the NFL wasn't in Los Angeles for a number of years. It was almost like an agreement amongst the ownership to not move to Los Angeles that like nobody was going to, because you always had that in your back pocket as a threat. Like, oh, you don't want me to be here? Like you weren't going to do this for me? It's why the Rams moved back to LA from St. Louis, was they were refusing to build them a new stadium.
Right.
If I remember correctly, I think that played a big part in it. But it's like, we need a new stadium. You guys are paying for it. And if you don't agree to our probably ridiculous set of rules whenever it comes to it, then we're leaving and we're going to LA. And so that was like a big thing why like teams didn't move to LA for a while, was all of the owners were like, nobody actually go.
We can all
use it as a bargaining chip. And so that was a big one where you start looking at some of these, I think it's the San Diego Padres, part of their new stadium, and they got this stadium years ago.
It's almost like an inverse monopoly. Is that is that illegal? Like everybody knows it's happening, but maybe you're technically not allowed to talk about it, kind of deal.
Probably.
Like not publicly.
Right. But that was a big thing. The San Diego Padres, I think it is, every single ticket in that stadium that is not sold to a fan is bought by the city that night. So to the ownership group of the San Diego Padres, every night's a sellout. Money-wise, every night's a sellout. Whether there's nobody in the stands or the stands are full, to sell out every night.
I'm sure there's some like, so I'm trying to wrap my head around that.
Yeah, because they go, either you do that or we're not the San Diego Padres anymore. We'll be the LA Padres, or we'll be the Las Vegas Padres.
Yeah.
We'll be the Las Vegas whatever. See you later. Yeah, it's crazy.
So is there any like, what's their incentive to be even remotely good then?
I think you still like from a fan base, like from that, I don't think that's all the reason. Like that's not all the money that you make.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, there's like,
I guess, merchandise and whatnot would go way down if you.
Yeah. Like that's where you make like a lot of money on like other things by being good. But ask Oakland Athletic fans. They have not had an incentive to be good, and they have not tried to be good. It doesn't seem like for a very long time.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that like I saw the AAA that's like the closest to Oakland has a higher average attendance than Oakland A's.
Yeah. Well, especially because Oakland's moving to Las Vegas. Like, so the A's are moving to Las Vegas.
Vegas is getting all kinds of teams.
Well, and it became the new LA. But then it was like, okay, we actually need to do a race. Like, then it became like, who can get there fastest?
Yeah.
And so a big part of that was like, then they build these stadiums and they're like, I want you to build me a stadium, but I want you to have where the majority of the tickets in here cost $10 million a year, not $150. That's where the boxes started happening. Yeah. So you start way upping the boxes. You know what? I don't know what a box costs. I'm sure a box at a Las Vegas Raiders is not cheap though. But it starts being like really, really expensive. And now that ticket value for that spot is tremendously more valuable than it was before.
Right.
But yeah, they just use the threat of leaving because they can leave. Yeah. Like I remember there were people talking about it. I think it was on Reddit. But one of the things is that the Thunder have one of the smallest arenas in the NBA. And they were like talking about wanting a new one, and like the city will pay for it if it happens. And there were people like, no, why would we do that? Like, we're not even that good right now. And it's like, I get it if you're not a sports fan or whatever, but I think anybody can have an appreciation who have lived in Oklahoma City for the last 20 years. The difference pre-Thunder versus post-Thunder is massive for the city, especially for the downtown area. It's like been a real kickstart. Not to say that it wouldn't have moved this direction anyway, but it's like really kickstarts that.
It's been fuel on the fire.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's a huge reason why there are so many things that are down there as fast as they have happened. And being able to have a professional sports team in any capacity brings massive, I don't know what it is. Like there's something to having a professional sports team in your city that just puts you on the map. Like I feel you're a major city.
It legitimizes the city.
Yeah, for sure. 1,000%
I mean, think about how often a team, like how often a city is talked about that does not have a single professional sports team. How often is that city talked about? Like you hear about, like I feel like I hear about other cities most of the time watching hockey.
Yeah. Right.
Like if you don't have a hockey team, I don't really hear about you a whole lot.
When you start thinking about it too, on like a global scale, like especially maybe not so much now, but I'm sure to an extent now, but you go rewind 6 years, right? Even better, you rewind 8 years and you walk in, a city in China and you say Oklahoma City and they say Kevin Durant and they say Russell Westbrook. Yeah. And it's like, otherwise, why would they have any reason to have ever even heard Oklahoma City before? You know what I mean? Like those kind of things like bring you a worldwide notoriety that's like a bigger thing. And so it's huge for the city though. So it's like the city has to factor in the cost of like, okay, yeah, we're going to have to build a however much, $100 million arena or whatever. But it's like, yeah, but you're going to recoup your money through, sales revenue, taxes, whatever that's going to happen in that area because of it.
Right. Back to Ryan's point really quick. Do you think because Vegas they got the Raiders within the last 5-6 years?
Couple years.
I'd say all their teams are in the last 5 years.
Yeah. Golden Knights were, just a few years ago. And what other team did you guys say they were getting?
Oakland A's. The Athletics.
Oakland A's. Oh, yeah. The Vegas A's.
I don't know what they're going to be called, but something tells me they won't say the A's. It's crazy though, man.
The Vegas. Vegas.
The Vegas.
Vegas. I think that's what they're going with.
I like it.
So do you guys think, with obviously Vegas being a very, very much a destination type of city where like a lot of people travel to and vacation to go gamble, see shows, just have fun, with it being a very high population of tourists, do you guys think that it will be more of people like attendance and like, I don't even want to say, like, do you think the attendance will be more of people just wanting to go see a game in Vegas more than it'll be like a loyal fan base?
Probably.
So I personally think that was part of the reason why it took so long for someone to go there.
Yeah.
Is that was the fear. It's like, that's a very tourist city and they don't have like a consistent fan base.
Yeah. Right.
I think with the Knights going there and having success in the first few years, it showed like, hey, there actually is something here. And that's why you now see the Raiders there and the A's going there and however long it takes to get. But I do think it is always going to be somewhat of a potentially touristy attraction. I mean,
do you think there's a different strategy with owning those teams?
Yes, for sure. I think what my point that I was about to make was, I don't know if they care.
You have to go after people like Preston. So.
Bandwagoners is what we call them. But I do. I'm good. I do think there is like a legitimate factor to like, they don't necessarily care, because a lot of what the Raiders stuff is now, one, I think the Raiders benefited from the fact, more so than the A's will. And of course they couldn't with the Vegas Knights, is the Raiders have a massive fan base wherever they are. The Raiders have lifelong Raiders, and Raiders have not always been in Oakland. Like, that's the thing to keep in mind too. The Raiders have moved around. Like, they were in LA for a while. Like,
so they had a little bit more. They were a little bit more confident with being wherever.
And I think they didn't move that far. And I think the Vegas to LA or vice versa, whichever you want to put it, it's a common trip for people in that area to make. It's not that far.
It's not that crazy. But I think a factor to that too was to be honest, I'm not so sure they care a ton, because one, the majority of what your tickets are going to be, or again, I said majority, but like a lot of what your tickets are going to be is mostly like, you own a business in Las Vegas and you own a really successful business, and you have somebody coming in for a business meeting, and you're also going to go sit in the box for the Raiders game this weekend. Right. Like, I think that's a big part of it as well.
Yeah, I mean, think about all the conferences that are there, like these businesses like going and get like paying for boxes so like they can take, clients or staff out to a game and show them a good time.
Right. Like, and I think the thing was like, it's very geared towards that in a lot of ways, where it's obviously a business expense, because I think it might have just been their first year, but I'm not sure. But I know that like for a while, one of the big things that they were talking about was that the average ticket price to a Las Vegas Raiders game was like over $600. Like, it is not your average fan that can even go. Like, it's not your... I've been a Raiders fan for a long time. It is either a destination situation where you are going down there to see this, or it's like the business is paying for you guys to go, or, it's part of the box or whatever.
I mean, Vegas is a good place for a team like that to be, though. It's like I'm a whole lot more likely to be traveling to Vegas and be able to potentially catch a game there.
Right.
Where were they at? Oakland before? Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I don't really have a whole lot of reason to go to Oakland, but there's sometimes conferences or like
all sorts. There's conferences all the time. Right. Everything. Bachelor
parties. Right. Exactly. Yeah. So that's what I'm thinking. Like, that the Golden Knights maybe don't have a crazy fan base, but like, I bet I bet that I guess I don't know if you saw or not, but like the Oilers game on Saturday, I bet the stands were pretty full to start, but as soon as they were down 5-0,
Yeah.
probably were like,
How
we're okay.
loyal of a fan base.
Not a
and
very loyal fan base.
And that's essentially what I'd seen on Twitter. I didn't get to watch the game. I was at a movie, but after the game, it was like the third period, and it's like, let's see where all the real fans are. And there weren't many. It was just very empty.
Yeah, that's I remember I tuned in about halfway through the game. Oilers scored all 5 of their goals, or most of their 5 goals in the first period, right?
4 in the first, 1 in the second.
I tuned in after the 5th goal, so I only watched 1 goal from the Golden Knights, and they lost 1-5.
Love that. But yeah, it's a super interesting dynamic though, because there's a lot more deals like that than people realize. And it's like, it's understandable, but it's not dissimilar to like most things. I remember when we were in college and there was the bear fee or something like that. And I forget what it was, but it was part of it was to build up the athletics at Missouri State. And I remember a lot of people being frustrated about that. It was
I remember that debacle.
It was like $50 a semester or something like that. It was nothing crazy, but
people are fighting tooth and nail not to have to pay this $50.
And it ended up being something that like, we put down as a down payment on a massive like $400 million loan or something like that. But it built the rec center, and it built like
it was huge for Missouri State.
Yeah, new stands at the football stadium,
which was so much nicer, man.
Seriously. Yeah. Then like the soccer fields were new. They built the like lacrosse and field hockey. Right. They redid Taco Bell fields. Like there were so many things that happened during that, and people just kept getting so hung up on like, yeah, but our sports, like the football team's not even that good. And I was like, you have to have the understanding that the way you build up the other departments is to get students to come here. The way you get students to come here is to have more successful, or at least like the visual like appeal of solid athletics, to have a good looking stadium that people want to go to, even if you're not a sports fan.
Right.
Like, even if you just care about the English department is an extension of the entire campus, and you're going to have more kids come here with a brand new fitness center that's massive and like still one of the nicest ones I've ever seen. And it's like this crazy thing. And it's like, well, you get more students, and by getting more students, then the English department is able to develop and do better as well. And it's like, people just, understandably, when you're not into sports, you don't understand or pay much mind to the effect that it has on a university's campus or to a city, but it's massive for them.
You have to invest into it. The football team will never be good if we don't invest into it.
Yeah.
We don't magically get a good football team and then, let's build a great stadium. It's like, you have to build it first.
Right. And then not how long ago did we leave Missouri State? Since then, they have fought for an FCS national championship twice now.
Jeez.
They've gone to the playoff that only like 6 teams go to twice now for football.
Dude, when we were going there, they were losing like every game, man.
Yeah,
it was, dude. We would go to the tailgate, and then the game would start, and everybody go home.
Yeah, right. Like nobody cared. But it was like, and what was it? It was only the last year or two that we were there that the new like stands had been built and like became much nicer. But it turned into like a thing. Like when your team is then good, students go, and like you have fun, and it becomes a whole nother aspect of going. And it was once that started happening, then it was like a big deal.
Dude, I remember late, like as we were kind of leaving, and even a little bit after, it's like hearing about people actually going to the games and like keeping up with the team and the players.
I was watching games.
It's like, dude, that didn't happen. There was one. I remember that game that I probably was the bad luck charm there, but
when we were playing Arkansas.
Yeah.
And it was like a good game against like a top 10 team in the country.
Yeah. Really giving a run for their money, man. It's like, dude, that is not the Missouri State I remember, man. So it's like it clearly that $50 paid off, man.
Massively, because then the thing that happens, and like the coach that was really good has gone and left and like moved on since. But it's like, it's the step in the right direction. Then you have another coach. You bring a better coach in because you were just competing for national championships. So you bring in a better coach, and then like another good coach and who can recruit. And now you come and like, hey, now you can say we were playing for this, we were playing for that, and it's like we want to be good, we want to do that again. They come, the facility now looks nice, and so like you have all of these things that it's like it's such a step in the right direction that I get that not everybody appreciates or understands, but in turn, here's the other thing that happened. Missouri State started out enrolling freshmen compared to Mizzou. And that was like, that had never happened. And it started happening like year after year.
Wow.
It was like more kids were going to Missouri State than were going to Mizzou.
Wow.
And we're having bigger freshman classes. And it's like, guys, that's what gets you the bigger departments. That's what gets you the bigger everything. Like,
right.
Those are the things that lead to.
You pay a little extra, you get more students bring in more money.
Right. And then it's like, more programs start going D1. And then you have like, because Missouri State doesn't have a full D1 football program. It's a Division I, 2A is what it used to be called, but it's like a FCS. But it's like, it's still, there's enough students on campus now to be a full Division I football team. Yeah. You just have to kind of be good enough and be willing to kind of work your way into going to one of those other conferences.
The possibility of that happening is real now.
Much more real.
When we were there, that really wasn't on the table.
No, not even close. Like the facilities alone, they were not a Division I facility.
No.
So now it can be.
Yeah.
And those are the kind of changes that really can make a difference for not just a university, but again, you look at the difference pre and post Thunder is just something crazy. Like the difference, I think people don't understand, like the difference that it's done for Oklahoma City. Like if the Thunder were like, hey, we want a new stadium, be like, yes, of course.
Yeah. You said that was for a $400 million loan?
Something like that.
Something like that,
crazy.
Yeah. It is kind of crazy, man. Like hearing from, obviously universities, but like even other like just like massive businesses of like, the loans that they take out.
And college
the
is a scam, kids. Don't go.
Just tack that on there real quick.
So we're clear.
Yeah. If you do go, maybe go to Missouri State because it's kind of cool.
Go Bears.
Yeah. But really hearing about that, like, it's like, did you hear about like, I remember, like Amazon keeps popping up in my head and how just like the investors that they were bringing on and freaking boatloads at one point when they were growing. And it really kind of starts to make sense, man, of like, especially with some of the orders that we've done of like, I think when we first got into business, man, it was like, you think about loans as black and white of like, take out a loan, start the business, pay it off, and then you're good. You've got cash flow, you've got income, to grow and to scale. You can do it without it, but you are severely limited. And I think even up until this point, we've thought about it as kind of black and white of like, when we open up a new location, take out a loan, open it up, bring in a profit, pay it off. But like, man, the doors are really starting to open to be able to see the opportunities of a loan genuinely being advantageous, of being able to order more products than we usually would to get better price points. But it's one of those where
everything starts taking a chunk out of that loan.
Right. So when you think like, I'll put it in this way, I won't name the product, but to order substantially more than we usually do, the first, it gets us to a cheaper price point. And even if we lowered the price, we're still making a bigger margin, and it's cheaper for customers. So everybody's winning. Yeah. So we're selling more and we're making more, and we're going to make, if we did this, we're going to make X amount compared to if we just reordered it as normal. Right. And, if we make, X amount of profit, if we take out, like if we don't have the money to do that, if you take out a loan and in that loan, you're going to pay X amount of interest. And or Y amount of interest, and Y amount of interest is less than X amount of profit, it's advantageous to take out that loan. And that's what we were looking at. And the big factor here is, can you move through it fast enough before it expires? And we're looking at it, and it's yes. So this is legitimately a good investment if you have the money. Right. Do we have access to loans? Yes. Then we have access to money. Right. So it's, why would we not, if we find these opportunities, obviously there's risk in anything that we do, but we're much more experienced now. We've got projections on how quickly we move things. We've got stores that, are guaranteed to move, be able to move certain amounts of certain products, that we can go into it a lot more confidently, like, than we did at first of, hey, we're going to, buy X amount, hopefully we move it, but we've never sold a single product before. Right. So we can't be sure.
Right. Well, you start having like a really interesting thing too, when you start thinking about like how much companies do in revenue versus how much they make in profit and what it costs to make X amount of dollars. And so one of the ones that always like last one was like, oh, this company did $5 billion in revenue last year. And you're like, oh, okay, cool. Or their profits like $100 million. And you're like, cool. So it costs $4.9 billion to make $100 million.
Right.
It costs $4.9 billion to make $100 million.
$100 million is awesome. But yeah, the expense, the risk that you have to do that in the first place is insane.
Yeah,
man.
it's crazy.
But to get to that point where you're doing hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars, man, you can't do that with like, oh, we'll buy more products when we can afford it.
Right.
It's, dude.
A lot of that cost comes into loan repayment. A lot of those costs come into so many different things.
Right. You can get there faster if you properly take advantage of loans and lines of credit. Man.
Yeah.
And it's cool to kind of start to really see those opportunities come into play, man. And to be able to see the numbers that we're moving of man, we don't just have to order the bare minimum of this product now.
Right.
They're not a new product, so we don't have to know. We don't have to guess on how. Yeah, we have history on how much it's moved over the past 5 years.
Right.
And we can confidently order double that amount, which is crazy to be ordering more than the minimum order quantity for manufacturer. We've never done that.
Well, and I think one of the that's a crazy thought, right? That's a laughable thought. We used to like the first manufacturing run was like, anybody give us these small minimums, please? Like, and
they're like, we'll do this amount. We're like, could you maybe do half of that?
Yeah, that'd be real neat.
We got some deals. Going that got us to where we are today, man.
Right. But I think a big part of that, not dissimilar to like opening stores or whatever, is the comfortability aspect to it. Like, I think opening up Yukon was, and I speak, from a different perspective than you do, of course, but it's like opening Yukon was less stressful than opening Norman was.
100%.
Because like we have a comfortability to it. We have a bit of a playbook that we didn't have before. We've got a lot of aspects that, were part of the unknown are now part of the at least somewhat known.
We've got systems in place. We know how a new location grows.
And I think a big part of starting a business, one of the scariest aspects to that is taking out loans and like your ability to pay these back. Now we have this like not just comfortability, but like confidence in the fact that like, yes, if we take this loan out, like I can't say for sure, but if we take this loan out, like through the data that we have, through the products that we move through the stuff that we do, like, yes, we should be able to be just fine with this. And it actually makes sense. And now that being that much less scary makes it again, where it's like, not a willy-nilly thing, but it becomes a situation where like, okay, cool. Like, hey, this is actually advantageous for us. Like, let's really consider this.
Right.
Where before it was like, the word loan is scary enough to be like, that's a bad idea.
That's a lot of money. That's a big payment. Are we going to be able to make enough?
Right.
You got rent on top of that. Plus, like maybe hopefully we pay ourselves.
Right. And you have like, especially with Define and the growth that we've seen with that, which has been a huge blessing just being in the store and getting to see people come in or talk to us at events and be like, oh, you guys are the ones that have Define in the store. And we're like, yeah. What?
Yeah.
Who do you know? Like, who on staff are you cousins with? Like, and so it's funny, but I think there's like a level of like getting more comfortable with the fact that like, okay, cool, we've seen the success that Define can have, and we can continue to see its growth patterns. And now it's like, cool. On top of having a playbook, we have a belief in this stuff that was slightly more than we did last week or the week before that or the year before that. And it's like, cool. Now all of these kind of stacking up together, plus the comfortability of not being afraid of the word loan, like it's like, okay, cool. This stuff is actually an advantageous tool for businesses.
Right.
And done the right way can make a ton of sense.
Right. That's that has been one of my favorite parts to learn about since going to business. And the thing that I hated the most, because I just had no clue about it, and it was just pretty much a foreign language to me, was financial literacy, though.
Yeah.
Being able to read a profit and loss statement, being able to read a balance sheet. But once you start really kind of diving into all that, and then you start to like, okay, well, like what does our cash flow look like, and building a projection based off of that and what that's going to potentially look like in the future, because those are all three very different things.
Right.
And being able to factor in projections on what the products that we're selling, how fast are we selling all those, and it's like, dude, it's like I get more, and I know you have an appreciation for Excel, but as well, but being able to dive into these Excel sheets and like tweak the numbers and do these little side things and just be able to like, answer any question on like, is this a good decision or not a good decision?
Right.
Being able to run all these metrics and base it off of history that we've been
tangible
collecting
evidence.
Tangible evidence. Yeah. That has been the most fun part is being able to, hey, can we take on these other expenses? Can we take on, rent for a warehouse? Can we take on a loan for this? Can we open a new store and make it profitable enough to pay the employees, pay the rent, and pay the loan that we would need to get to open that store?
Yeah.
So
that's craziness, man.
it's so much fun though. It's so intricate though.
Yeah,
but
right.
that has become one of my favorite parts. So.
Absolutely. Well, it's just weird to think about. One of the things my mind went to was like the one day, like having, whether it's a big or small, but like some form of like accounting department.
Yeah, dude. That's for real though. Listen,
Right.
I mean, I talk about, the tasks that I'm excited to pass along and get people involved in the back end, and let them kind of take over and like anything else, do a better job than I'm doing at it. Alyssa's starting to form tasks on her side as well.
Right.
Because she's dealing with a crazy amount of inventory. I know she's talked about trying to get someone helping out with the bookkeeping.
Yeah.
That may be something where we do actually need to hire a legitimate bookkeeper.
Right.
But if we have someone on staff that is genuinely capable of learning that, it is a very difficult thing. That's for sure.
Yeah.
I do not know how to do that. I've never known how to do that.
Yeah, right.
I understand. I'm able to read, I understand how she's like, how the information is all pulled and put together and why it looks a certain way on that sheet, but I do not know how she does that in the first place.
Yeah, right.
So if she leaves, we've got no finances anymore.
Wow.
Yeah.
But
so
yeah, I mean,
I'm stuck with her.
Yeah. that was the straw.
Yeah. The baby almost put it there, but the P&L, man.
That was really the one. That's so funny. That's so funny. But yeah, man, I mean, it's just crazy to see, the expansion of those kind of things happening, and it gives us some really cool opportunities to continue to grow the team. And I think that's been one of the coolest things for me, especially being out here in Yukon, is that I'm kind of blessed in a situation where I have 2 ATs, which is our assistant manager role. And I'm the only one with any ATs, and I've got 2 of them.
That is a weird thing.
Yeah, it just
Didn't plan that at all.
But no, I have 2, assistant manager level employees. And one of the coolest parts is getting to talk with them on a regular basis about not just how to handle situations, but grasping the concepts in general. And that, there's so much gray, and there's not always an answer to something that is direct. There are certain things that you have to kind of figure out on your own. And you might have to just implement something for your specific store and like kind of how you feel about it, or it's a person-to-person thing. But kind of getting to talk to them and kind of explain to them some of the more managerial side of things, or more of the that next step kind of stuff, is really interesting to kind of do. It's definitely sharpened my blade a lot, and I've appreciated kind of having that opportunity to pass on some of this knowledge that I have to them, because one, it's just fun for me to talk about, and it's fun for me to find opportunities to coach and talk about those things. But it's been really cool to see their specific growth within those, and I'm seeing them believe in themselves more, and I'm seeing them kind of grasp and understand, because we do a lot of the like, okay, we would do this. And then it's like, okay, cool. And it's like, but why?
Right.
And they're like, and I'm like, well, let's talk about it. Let's.
Anthony told me.
Right. But for real though, or like it's such a unique thing for me right now. And they're both used to it. And I think there's a phase where you kind of have to be to an extent, but is almost getting them out of their yes man and yes woman like phase of things, where it's like, guys, I'm not talking at you. I want to have a conversation.
Right.
I want you to understand or have even input on this decision.
Right.
And let's actually talk about the concept back and forth, not of just hey, I opened this for samples, and maybe like, hey, I wouldn't have opened that for samples. And then being like, okay, cool, I won't open any more of those. And you're like, well, no, like,
Right.
let's rewind. Let's talk about why we wouldn't.
Right.
You know, what is this product? Is it something that we want to be sampling out for XYZ reason? You know,
Right.
is this something that, you know, isn't going to be great for people to sample, or it's
Right.
not going to be beneficial for them to have an opportunity to try it, or whatever that looks like. That's just a random, you know, like,
No, I don't want you to have to come to me every time that you want to figure out if you need to open up or sample. I want you to be able to make these decisions on your own of what's right to sample and what's not.
right. And that like, that just applies to so many things where it's like, I'm still getting them out of their face, which is funny because for most managers, what you want is you want people, yes, I got it. Yeah, I can do it. Yep.
Right.
Whatever you say, yes. And it's like, I almost is like I'm to a point now where I'm like, I don't want a yes man. Like, don't tell me yes. Just like, let's talk about it. Like, let's figure out, because like, I want to be able to see you be able to make this decision on my behalf later. Right. Like, or on the store's behalf or whatever that looks like. I want you to be able to understand why we would do this and get the wheels turning when these situations happen, of not just regurgitate the last thing that I heard about this specific thing, but no, understand the overall concept and why we move, why we step a certain way or not, because at some point, like, in probably not the overly distant future, people are going to be looking to you for these decisions. Right. And like, you're going to have to make them. And part of making them is understanding why, you know what I mean? Like it's, you know, there's so much that goes into it, but it's been a really rewarding thing getting to kind of appreciate that and just, you know, showing them that it's a whole lot different than you think it's going to be.
Yeah, man, that's such a cool aspect for me too, man, because it's, you know, at one point it was, you know, obviously I talk about all the time, me and just a few other people, and I was working with the few people to grow them into bigger roles, but now we're a company that I'm working with all the managers and making sure that we're all on the same page, but the managers are the ones developing the people. Dope. Thomas showing me numbers. But
it was number 2. He's super excited.
We did $2. But just an arbitrary number 2.
She's my calculator.
But man, to because like if I was the one in charge of developing the staff at UConn, which has the AT employees right now, that's the stage in their career here, is getting them ready for management. And that can be tough, man.
Sure.
If I would have to dedicate my most of my time to doing that, and I still wouldn't do as good a job as you. And so it's cool to see other people taking on those tasks and making it theirs and obsessing over it and enjoying it. So like you told me last week that you were really enjoying working on their development, and that was really cool to hear, man. Because that's the ultimate thing is are people enjoying what they're doing right now, and are they excited for what they're going to do next? Yeah, because those are, if you don't, it's tough to have just one or the other. Right. I think a combination of the both is huge for long-term success here.
And you know, I think a good segue with that, and one of the things that I've been trying to teach them about is what it actually looks like in those situations. And a lot of them is like we've just talked about this, you know, outside of here, but is truly letting them learn and do things is like letting them fail. And this was a concept that I've had to like explain to them too, but like all you can do, you can't control anybody, especially your employees. You have no control over your employees. Whether you think you do or you don't, you have absolutely no control over your employees, especially our employees who are like, what's a good way to put this? Like good employees and would be sought after by any company that could hire them, would be thrilled to have them.
100%.
And so we can't sit and pretend like we're the only option for them, because we're definitely not. So like if we do something outside of the realm of how we should do things or treat them in a certain way that we shouldn't be treating them, like they have every capacity to leave and go find a job that probably pays more than what we pay.
100%.
But one of the concepts that, is a big part of this is letting them have the opportunity. I can't control people and you can't control people. All you can do is present opportunities to people and allow them to either succeed or fail. And I think that that's one of the tough things, especially when you have really good-hearted people wanting to be managers, is, oh, we're a team. I can't let my team fail. I can't let my team fail. And it's like the problem is if you don't allow your team to fail or a person on your team to fail, you also don't allow them to succeed. If you don't give them the opportunity to fail, that means you never gave them the opportunity to succeed.
Yep.
If you held their hand so that they did not fail, you held their hand and held them back from their own ability to succeed on their own. Then how do they build confidence, or you build confidence in them? Like you constantly feel like you have to be holding their hand because you just never gave them the opportunity. And it's like, if you really want somebody to be able to show how good they are or progress or do whatever, just like show what they've learned and gotten better at, is you have to allow them to succeed, an opportunity to succeed. And the opportunity to succeed also comes with the opportunity to fail.
Right. Do you feel like you're able to actively watch an employee fail?
Yeah.
Yeah. Good for you. I can't.
Yeah.
But I
think you have to at some point.
I have plenty of employees fail and learn their own lessons. Luckily, I think I have I think I can, but it is so difficult.
You're not the right person for it.
Right. And this is why I said that you're better to work with the development of the ATs on staff at UConn better than I am.
Right.
My built-in one is that my days get so crazy that Preston's been working back and forth with Bruce, and where I've been CC'd on the emails, I missed like 6 of them.
Yeah.
And so it's like it makes me the most nervous for something to be screwed up with Define, because we're talking about tens of thousands of dollars.
That's a bigger deal.
A little bit. So I keep a little closer eye on it.
Sure.
But there's still, I still haven't gone through all the emails yet. He may have made a mistake today. It'd be, the nice thing is it's a slow process, so we can catch, I'll go through them, and if there are any mistakes, we'll catch them. And, but
when you go back and look and see potentially that he didn't, there was his opportunity to succeed. He didn't need you to hold his hand in this specific situation. Not to say that later he won't in certain things, but it's like, and I'll let you get back to what you were saying, but it's like, him also, by having you not write every email or double check every email before he sends it, you're allowing him to succeed as well.
And we're slowly starting to get that point where we started off with me giving him bullet points on, hey, you're going to write this email to Bruce. This is what it's going to, or it actually started off with him just being CC'd on my emails and seeing them. Then it got into him writing the emails, but me giving him bullet points and then him writing it and having me double check it and then him sending it. And now we're kind of working into, he's kind of working with it and I'm just watching. And making sure, man, if there's mistakes that are made, I'll let you know so you can handle them, so it doesn't Bruce, because that's a big thing too, is we need Bruce to understand, like, Preston is the go-to guy now. Right. We don't need you to assume that when shit hits the fan that you come to me. Like, we need you to go to Preston. Right. And Preston can come to me and we can work it out together. Right. But we need him to be learning these situations so that he can advance and he can take stuff off of my plate.
Exactly. And that's part of it. And you know what? I think it's obviously like situation to situation, but it's like, and most of the time I think for us, it's pretty small things, not, major orders for Define Nutrition or anything like that. It's a lot of the time a smaller deal than that.
Will's not placing $40,000 orders regularly.
No, he's not.
Not yet.
But it is the, like still giving them, times to kind of make decisions on their own. And it's like, I think more of it becomes like allowing somebody to make a decision on their own and then talking them through it. Like, let's actually have a conversation about this decision. And let's see after this conversation if you come to the same conclusion. But if you, again, like try to force people into doing stuff, like even if it's something small where it's like, hey, we've got a dirty blender bottle. And I say like, hey, wash this blender bottle before you leave. And they're like, yeah, I got it. If I then say wash the blender bottle 6 more times before they leave, the question becomes, were they going to wash the blender bottle?
Right. Maybe.
We literally don't know, right? Because we influenced it so much that if it happens, we will be convinced because we said it 6 times. If it doesn't happen, well, then it was purposely against us. Right. And it's like you've influenced this decision too much. Like you tell somebody, hey, would you clean the blender bottle before you leave? And then watch them leave without cleaning it. If they do, if that's the decision that they make, like
if they do that, you've got a lot more opportunity for someone to learn. If you don't, if you say things over and over again, you don't even have the opportunity for them. You don't have the opportunity to know if they even need to learn.
Well, and you're probably in a situation like that, you might frustrate that person too. And now that person might be frustrated about the situation or less, like maybe at that point just wants to say no because you've said it so many times. Like there's a lot that goes into those kind of things where it's like, hey, you got to just kind of do it and hold up your end of the bargain and see what happens. But it's like you have to be able to build trust in them. And by being able to build trust in them, that is either allowing them to succeed or fail. And same thing with this, like this Preston situation. It's like you're allowing him to succeed or fail. And it's like the failures don't have to be catastrophes. Like they should be fixable things. And I think that's a big part of it. But it's like with
you can pick and choose which ones you're letting them fail at.
Right. And how far something goes. Right. Like there's always a time that you can step in.
Right.
But it's like at the end of the day, it's like, you know, you're not checking your email still before he sends it. You're not doing these kind of things. You're allowing him the opportunity to blossom. And if you don't and with that comes the opportunity to fail. But like we can't bubble wrap everything.
I think that's a big aspect to it though, is you don't have to start off with just throwing them into the fire. You can hold their hand right off the bat.
Right.
And then but go through one round with them. And once they're, or get to the point where, you're comfortable to let go. But when you let go, you have to be prepared for them to make their mistakes then.
Right.
So
exactly. And I think that's definitely a huge part of anything that we're doing right now. But it's cool because I think the biggest thing that happens and where we're really blessed is that the majority of the time it's success stories for us. It's most of the time it's people doing stuff really well and doing stuff in a way that we would hope that they would do them, as opposed to it being something that, is them failing consistently.
For every mistake, there's nine successes.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. And I think that's a big factor to look at too.
Right. But for me, it's, again, I have a built-in way to let the birds jump out of the nest and see if they can fly. I haven't had time to look at those emails.
Right. But, and I think there's there's a number of reasons why it's kind of tough for you to ever even be that person. No offense. It's not because you couldn't or you're not talented enough to do it.
No, I suck.
I wasn't going to say it on the camera. I'll tell you after. But that's a big part where there is... And it's tough because I understand somebody's perspective from it, but something coming from an owner can be always taken at a much more intense level than it's even meant to be. We used to say it, or we've talked about it since, just kind of comparing it. But when we worked at S2, if Andy would have walked in and been like, hey, could you guys make sure and stock the drink fridge? We'd have been like, shit. My whole career is over.
Kill me now.
Yeah, kill me now. Andy thinks I suck.
And from Andy's perspective, it's just hey, I
probably never thought about it again either.
I own this store. I think one thing that needs to happen is the drink fridge needs to be stocked. I just want to mention it.
Right.
No, man. No big deal.
Somebody like that coming in at a 1, it will always be received as a 10.
Yep.
And it's okay.
Coming in at a 0.
Literally. Just hey, could you, if you have time, could you possibly just grab some drinks and put it in the fridge?
If you don't mind, I don't mean to bother you.
Yeah. Right. But then the person's just fuck.
He hates me.
Yeah, great. Okay, well, I'm never going to be a manager. But and our staff does pretty well with that. But there's still times where it's tough for them. Understandably, they have a lot riding on this, and they have a lot put into this. I understand where they could be. They don't want to be showing any sign of what's the word I'm looking for? Any sign of incompetence at all.
Right. That's obviously something that we talked about at manager meeting recently was me coming to you guys as opposed to directly to the employees a whole lot. We're kind of trying to make a shift more in that direction where we've already done a decent amount of that. It's hey man, I think we kind of need to pretty much do all of it. All of it needs to go that way.
Right.
So,
which is a really weird thing from going from, a meeting having 3 people in it total.
To me, being not allowed to talk about if the
You're
store
not allowed
needs
to
to be
talk
monitored.
you're not allowed to talk to any of our
No,
employees.
if the stores are dirty, I'm not allowed to say anything.
Yeah, you're not allowed to talk to any employees about anything at all.
Other than just BS.
Yeah.
I can make small
not
talk.
even, honestly, like you're just not allowed to talk to them anymore. You're done.
Oh,
You're banished to the warehouse.
I knew this day would come.
Yeah. Just drop off the transfers
keys.
outside.
Leave your keys on the desk.
Yeah. Yeah.
Keys anymore.
Leave your gun and your badge. But I mean, like, it's funny that we say it like that, but man, we talk about this now with 15 people, hopefully,
It'll only get worse, man.
right. I mean, everything goes according to plan. Like, there's going to be 400 people, and then the conversation is like, that's Kevin, which is funny because you're a stinky little dinky.
It's Kevin.
But
Anthony loves the times. Like, I think some of the, like, especially some of the Quail employees that just haven't been around me as much of like, oh man, I really don't want to fuck up around Kevin or like say the wrong thing. And Anthony's like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah.
And then I'll walk in and he's like, fuck you.
right.
Yeah. I'm like, fuck you too, Anthony.
Right.
He's just like, see, it's Kevin. Like, what do you get so fucking
everything's fine. But I mean, there is a part of me again that like understands like they are just concerned about, potentially doing something that could harm their long-term success. And like, we understand that, but it's a whole lot easier for us to understand that from this point of view than it is for them to like truly believe that, what I mean? Where it's like, no, and with time and like patience and stuff, like it'll become, hopefully more, but every time we have a new employee, it's restarting that timeline,
right.
for them at least.
It's emphasized every new person that we bring on.
There's so many people that like, and I'm sure for you too, but it's like, we'll have people work like starting training for us that you've never even met.
Yeah.
Like never talked to, or it's like, I'll see people at meeting that have been working for 6 months or whatever. And it's like the only real conversation I've had with them is like their second interview.
Yeah. That is one benefit to being the person that always does their second interview. But there have been,
but the second interview is also kind of intense. And so it's kind of like we get a little bit of a different, like,
you get to know them pretty well.
Yeah, something like that. And they're like, that guy's something else.
Very different from you on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah. Maybe.
You don't know.
You'll never know.
That is I think Noah, who is not even close to our newest hire, was like that. Is I happened to be in the store when right after Anthony offered him the job. Yeah. He was like, hey, Noah accepted the job. Like, hey, this is Kevin, by the way. And I'm like bringing in boxes.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, hey, nice to meet you. I'm like, oh, who are you?
And you're like, who are you? Don't talk to me. I'm busy. Do you know who I am? Think you can just talk to me? Put in a request. So what people don't know is that to talk to Kevin, you have to put in a request as an employee now.
Yeah.
Got to get in line.
Yeah, that makes sense. Anthony told him, I can't remember what Anthony said. He was just like, oh yeah, this is Kevin. He pretty much runs everything. And I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm like, I'm retiring soon.
Yeah.
Was Noah the one where Anthony like kind of asked if he wanted the job and never really got a full answer and just kind of assumed he wanted the job? And then after he left, we're all like, are you sure he said yes?
Yeah, because I think it was, were you around for that?
Yeah.
Yeah, quick. So like, I think it was you, me, and Alyssa. And we were all just in the back because it's the three of us that typically have more back end work. And we got to kind of listen into this interview. And it's a third one where we offer him the job, go over more specifics. And Anthony was just like, so the job is yours if you want it. And Noah is at first more of a quiet person. When you get to know him, he's got that
interesting.
3G. Yeah, I think he might have that 3G. Yep. Mm-hmm. That goofy goober gene.
Oof. You hate to see it.
I was not sure what the 3G was.
The Northcuts got it.
Shout out to the Northcuts. Wonder if they're listening.
Maybe they listen. They got the goofy goober gene.
But Noah just sits. I don't think he said much at all in this third interview, and So Anthony's like, yeah, so the job's yours if you want it. Training would start on Monday. This is what, pay structure kind of looks like as you earn your certifications, and just kind of went through all of it. And Noah's just sitting there nodding, and Noah's like, okay, cool. Or Anthony's like, okay, cool, man. If you're available on Monday, let's plan to meet here at 9:00. And Noah's like, nodding and it's just like, and then leaves without really saying much. And I'm like, and we all kind of, I think it was Ryan, Alyssa, and I kind of all like looked at each other and looked at Anthony and we're like, did he technically accept the job? Because like you just like scheduled him.
Here you go. Whether you like it or not.
Dude, I think we worried him enough to where he actually texted and asked like, hey, did you want the job?
We definitely did. We were like, did he actually? Well, he's like, well, I felt confident about it until you guys started talking about it.
I love the strategy. Just assume. And that way people like, they have to go through that awkward conversation of telling you that they don't actually want the job. And then
pressure him.
Yeah. So Noah might just be still working here even though he doesn't want to.
Yeah. Right. And now he's got all his time committed. It's just like any relationship I've ever been in. Now you're too far in.
Shout out Laurel. We appreciate you, Laurel, for putting up with my guy.
Yeah. She's too far in now. Now she's got to now she's stuck, she's got to deal with it. But yeah, so it's an interesting thing as like we continue to progress with our employees, like just seeing them grow, just like relationally with us and like with you specifically, but also like just growing into their own roles. And it's cool to kind of like, we're kind of at a point now where whenever we interview people, it's like, okay, cool. Like you can do the supplement stuff that we need you to do and like talk to people the way we want you to talk to people. But what else can you do? You got any other like secret talents that like could benefit us? Like
any interests in areas that you'd want to spend hours and hours of research figuring out how to do?
Yeah. You happen to have like a degree in accounting? Like that'd be cool.
Yeah.
You do anything else? Like you happen to do some IT work or
you have any management experience or training? Yeah.
Do you even like, man, you ever worked on HVAC units? Like something here. Like, we'll take anything.
Dude, quick shout out. We were talking about this earlier today. Our HVAC repairman we own a supplement store and run multiple supplement stores and a brand. And the guy that repairs our AC is more jacked than anybody on staff.
Yeah, potentially combined.
Potentially combined. A shout out to HVAC Tim.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jacked HVAC Tim.
Jacked Big Tim.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, Big Timmy though. He's the man. He's a big fan of Tim.
Yeah, he's a really good guy, man.
Yeah.
And super helpful. Does all our maintenance, all our repairs.
Clutch with us many times.
Yeah.
Many times for sure.
He's been good too, man. He's always made like all the fixes have like gone well. Like they've always worked. He's always been able to pinpoint what's kind of going on and make fixes as cheap as he can. So yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, we would recommend just search Big Tim in the phone book.
Big Timmy air conditioning.
I just think that's hilarious that even our like HVAC repairman is just fucking yoked.
Dude, he is. Yeah. So wild. Hey, whatever. Ryan, what are we at on time?
We're probably hour 40 in.
Wow.
Look at these fake fans, these Golden Knight fans.
5-1 over Edmonton right now. That's rough.
And it's been really back and forth in this series.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ryan, what got you to be an Edmonton fan?
Their affiliate used to be based out of Oklahoma City.
Oh, the Blazers? The Blazers were Edmonton?
No,
or was
that was CHL. So we had an AHL team for a bit, and that was the Barons.
Oh, nice.
And their direct affiliate, they were the literally call-ups for the Oilers. So
that's cool.
Like Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, Darnell Nurse. There's a few others that had a few games here in the Oklahoma City area.
Wow.
So I was able to watch them. In fact, actually, Golden Knights goalie Brossois, who left early, he played a full season here, and probably their best season in Oklahoma City was the goalie.
When was that?
I think their last year was 2015.
Wow.
So I think it was like 2011 through 2015 that we had the Barons.
Dang.
Before they moved to Cali.
Yeah.
I've met other Oiler fans here in Oklahoma City for the same reason.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, there's Dodgers fans here because of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, which like makes sense.
There's a decent amount of Cardinal fans. I learned because back before there was.
That's getting called back. That's going to get called back.
You think so?
I think so. I'm also a biased fan.
Turn the camera so people can see the replay. You're saying Cardinals fans?
Yeah, because at one point before like satellite and digital TV and all that, one of the only baseball teams that they would play our broadcast games for was the Cardinals. So it's like that's the only team you could watch. Naturally, become a fan.
What was it? I think it was the Atlanta Braves. That they were one of the only, for years, they were one of the only nationally broadcast teams because they had to deal with like TBS or something like that.
Oh.
And they were on like everywhere. So it was like one of the few teams that like every game was like nationally broadcast for forever. And so it's like you had these, I want to say it was the Braves, I might be wrong, but you just like had these random fans all over the place because it was like the team you could watch.
That was probably, whatever team it was, that was probably huge for their fan base. Man.
Yeah, right. Yeah. But like think of how many like generational fans have come from something like as silly as that.
That's what the Cardinal fans, there's like people like our age, call back, let's go.
I smell a comeback now.
Yeah, it's a little spark to the momentum they needed. We're only in the second
We've been
period.
here before. They made a comeback for a win.
Yeah. Gold Knights do have Barbashev now though, so I don't mind watching him do well.
Yeah, go keep talking.
Heard he's a hoser.
You're just watching hockey now.
We don't do that on the podcast.
I had a couple of drinks. I'm watching hockey. Leave me alone.
We just stopped talking.
Turn this camera off.
But yeah, no, it was people that are Cardinal fans because their dad watched the Cardinals because that's the only access he had. So they grew up also watching the Cardinals, even though they could watch other teams at this point.
Right.
So.
Well, like it'll be the funny thing because, I'm an Eagles fan and even though that's not overly popular, I don't know, that one's getting called back though, Ryan. I'm an Eagles fan and I have no affiliation to Philadelphia or Pennsylvania or the East Coast really at all. But I've been an Eagles fan as long as I can remember because when I was a kid, I didn't have any direct influence on like what team to be a fan of. And it was an Eagles Giants game and I was very adamant that my favorite color was green. And I saw those green jerseys with the wings on the helmet and I was like, that's it. That's all me.
That's a team.
Could have easily been a Jets fan. Could have easily been
that close to being a Jets fan.
Could have been a Jets fan. I'm much happier that I'm not, but I could have been a Jets fan easily.
What was it? I think a fraternity brother, Conor Hearn, was a Ravens fan because he liked the color purple.
Yeah,
I've heard that a number of times.
It's funny because like if I have a kid who cares at all about football, like they will be influenced heavily from birth to be an Eagles fan. And it's like how many like potential generations of Eagles fans will be produced because of me randomly being super adamant and wanting to let everybody know my favorite color was green. So then it was
Is your favorite color still green?
It's not. It's red. So
just from your favorite color being green for a short period of time.
Yeah, for whatever it was. Dude, my favorite food at the time was probably like ham. So luckily there was no. If there was an NFL team, the Hams, I would have been. That would have been I would have been all into that.
That's your team name right there,
dude.
I remember I was a kid. One of my favorite meals was ham and mac and cheese.
Heck yeah, dog,
dude. Ham.
Yeah,
like me some ham.
I do too. But yeah, I mean, there could have been.
Still your favorite food?
Yeah, that's still a thing. No, my favorite. I'm an adult now. My favorite food is hot dogs. Let's be real. I'll eat hot dogs and mac and cheese too.
Ooh, you ever put mac and cheese on a hot dog?
I was thinking a little cut up your hot dog, put in your mac and cheese.
In the mac and cheese. Yeah.
You hoser.
I thought we weren't paying attention hockey.
Oh, man. Well, I think we can leave it on hot dogs and mac and cheese.
I think so. It was good, good note.
Yeah. This was episode 21.
I didn't even put it on my story.
Dang, dude.
I got luckily we're still
you can get
going.
me in my Hoochie Daddy shorts.
Yep, I got you.
Pull those down a little bit.
Yeah, there we go. Ooh. That's a good one.
That's what I'm talking about. I'll get one too. But yeah, episode 21. This is a fun one. This went by quick.
Yeah.
Went by super quick. So it's good.
It was a fun conversation.
Yeah.
It's always nice after having a guest just being you and I. So.
Yeah, just kind of chilling and just talking about sports more than anything this time, actually.
Yeah.
Funny enough. Yeah. Well, cool.
Do a guest next time. Excited for the guest next time.
Yep.
Yeah.
Peace. Love you guys. Appreciate you listening. Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah. Adios.
See you.